313watkins.com. Streaming on Roku.
And good morning, and welcome to a very, I can't say the word very enough, especially when I see all this Divine Nine in the house, but a very special edition of Truth to Power today. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and, I almost want to just shout out and say Alpha's in the house, but we got a prominent Kappa here in the house with us as well. So, many are called and many are chosen, but we are very pleased and blessed to have Detroit City Council President, my fraternity brother. I'm going to say that probably multiple times today. My fraternity brother, my Alpha fraternity brother, Council President James Tate in the house with us today. And also we are joined by the Honorable Roy McAllister Jr. I think that these two faces that I have on the show with me today, very few people will not recognize who they are. And if they don't recognize who they are, they will know who they are before this show ends today. But this journey has been one, so I can't say enough about how much we appreciate Council President Tate to be here with us today, because I know that everybody is going through quite a bit for this before this summer starts. We just had the summer broke a couple days ago, and there are a lot of people that woke up with us this morning, but there are a few people that did not. So our hearts and our prayers go out to everyone who may be mourning the loss of anyone, including the cousin of our general manager here at the station, Ms. Maxine Willis, who is not present with us here in the station today because she is mourning the loss of her cousin this morning. And then Council President Tate was expressing the fact that he had lost someone. So Councilman Tate, welcome to Truth to Power today, and if you'd like to, express your, deepest condolences, regarding the person that passed that you know.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Darwin. I appreciate you so much for having me on, Brother Roy, as well. Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you for this moment to pay tribute to my mother-in-law, Rosie Watts, a wonderful woman. Just celebrated her 89th birthday. Wow. She made it to the 89th birthday 2 days ago. Unfortunately, overnight she transitioned and she joined the ancestors. And all I could do is just really thank and appreciate her for giving birth to that wonderful woman that I've been married to now for 25 years, Natrina. And I'm trying to do my best to support her, in this situation. That's when it really comes down to it. How do I support her as she moves forward? Because she's just been there for me, since day one. And this is a journey, when you're an elected official, Roy, as you know this, when you're an elected official, it's not just you.
That's
it's
right.
your family. And it's your significant other, your wife, and if you're a woman, your husband, whoever that is. So, again, shout out to Ms. Rosie Watts. I love you. I love you to life. I know you hear it. You heard me last night when I whispered it to you in your ear as well. I'm certain, and I promise that I'm going to take care of your daughter.
Spoken so graciously.
Yes,
and we do really appreciate you taking time today, to come on.
She allowed me to.
Be a part.
She allowed me to. No, I'm serious, because I was going to take it off. I was going to cancel everything today. She said, no, you have an obligation. You're a man of your word. Take care of your duties. I'll be here when you get home. I felt, real heavy in doing that, But and I also made sure it wasn't a test because
Yes.
why didn't you? But she wasn't there. She was all it was genuine. She said, no, go take care. Plus, I need to get some rest. All you're gonna be doing is looking at me sleep. So go ahead and we'll catch up a little bit later on this evening. So,
President Tate, my condolences to you, your family, and I thank your wife so very much because that takes a lot. To share you with us at this time of mourning. So I cannot thank the missus enough, and again, I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your schedule because I know your schedule is just compact, especially at the level of presidency that you are. So I cannot thank you enough. Thank you, and God bless your family, Ms. Trina, your mother-in-law, and the family, and that we carry on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we would be remiss, Roy, too, that we have to recognize the people that assisted in getting Council President Tate here today.
Yes.
So, Roy, you're the first person that I have to thank for doing that because of your wisdom in bringing Councilman Tate on the show with us today.
Thank you.
Your influence, and we really want to let you know here at WHPR all that you do. We appreciate you.
Well, I think it was an important deed to have President Tate here because you listen to that, the president. Very few of us, I don't care if you're alpha or whatever, but a very few of us have that title. Mm-hmm. And I think recognition should be given, should be recognized, and should be acknowledged. And a lot of times, we always hear, give them their flowers while they're here, as opposed to, when they've made that transition. So it was just a thing that when we were talking, you and I discussed it, Darwin, having President Tate on here because he's gone with so many accomplishments and things that he's done. And President Tate, people don't understand, they think that your relationship started on the council. But it actually started back in the police department. Yes, and that's how far back we go to our relationship. And it just carried over, just that you've been on there a little bit longer than me. But but that's all right. Because it makes me proud that I have a brother that I know, that I've seen, and that I've been with, and has continued to make accomplishments in his life.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Roy, it's so interesting because I remember when I first met Council President Tate, and it's like I wasn't calling him Council President Tate, I was just calling him Councilman Tate, and I wasn't calling him frat brother at the time either. So there was a lot of accomplishments that I had seen, Council President Tate, and I have to make sure I put that now, Council President Tate, when I say that. But it's an honor to, have seen you transcend, into all the different responsibilities and duties that you do. So just Council President Tate, if you can kind of walk us through, thank you, Roy, for bringing that up, especially back when he was, with you in the police department.
Yes.
But let's talk about your humble beginnings. Where did you, we know in terms of, say, you were born and raised here in Detroit. Just talk a little bit about your beginnings here.
So born and raised in the city of Detroit, lived on the west side my entire life. So I represent what's called District 1. Mm-hmm. And, for those who are not aware, the city went from at-large district, at-large council representation to district representation in 2013. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have this thing called districts at that point. So, but I've lived in what's now recognized as District 1 my entire life. 3 homes, and I love it. And I love this city. And it's been a very challenging road. My first term, literally, as soon as we get there, we get hit with we're going to potentially throw you into bankruptcy. Yeah. So we end up getting a consent agreement that we sign. Either you do this, it was real challenging times as it relates to the city of Detroit and the state government under Rick Snyder at the time and others. And shortly thereafter, literally again still within that same term, emergency management. So we got someone from D.C. who comes in and is appointed to take all the powers of the elected officials, the mayor, as well as the 9 council members, and it kind of set us internally in a very challenging situation. We had council members who also had health issues at the time. So I remember, during that period of time, we had, from the 9 members, 3 of them were out. We had a council president that had absconded, because of his situation that he was going through. That's Charles Pugh. But during the, over the time, I've just seen a lot. The change, the transformation from at-large to districts. COVID was a real thing as well.
Yes.
Getting through that, and you remember what that was like. Legislating behind a screen, while you're still trying to keep your family safe, trying to make sure that you're providing the best service you can for residents as well.
Well, Council President Tate, let me kind of delve back a little bit, because when you were saying about the difference between at-large and districts, talk about why that was something that was instituted.
So what happened was the voters actually went to the polls and said we want district representation. We're tired of this at-large thing, and I resisted it like crazy at first because it felt like it was a overreach, if you will, because the sentiment started outside of the city of Detroit. From those who lived in the suburban communities.
Right.
The mayor at the time was in trouble. Unfortunately, we had council members who were in trouble. And then there was this push to change the system. And I'm always resistant from outsiders coming in telling us how we should do things in the city of Detroit. But then you started to hear more Detroiters say, yeah, this might be a good idea. I still was a bit resistant, but I didn't fight it because it's all about the will of the people.
Right.
But what I started to do is make sure that in the event that it did pass, we started to have an idea of what this district system would look like. And I mean, I would live in it no matter what. Whether I got elected or not, I would still be living in that particular district, District 1. So we started pulling together, in advance of it actually going into fruition, started to pull together community meetings on a monthly basis. Started out first with the community leaders, block club captains, and the community association, executive board. We did that for a number of months, and then we said, you know what, now it's time to start bringing in more people from the community, because I wanted to start with the leadership, because they're the influencers of those neighborhoods.
Right.
But once we got past the point where it was very clear that we were moving towards districts, I started opening up these meetings to the general population in the district, and it has just been tremendous. And I haven't stopped having those meetings since then. So for the last 14 years, been hosting what's called the District 1 monthly meeting in different locations around District 1.
Yes.
And we've also hosted and continue to host bi-weekly meetings at the Motor City Java House, which is located on Lasser off of Grand River. So if anybody knows where Sweet Potato Station, I usually say that's the landmark. Whenever I say that, they go, oh, yeah, absolutely. If they don't
And
know
what's
where
the
it
lady that owns that?
That's Alicia George.
Okay, have to make sure we do a shout out.
Yeah, that's
my
And we also got to shout out her husband.
That's right, John.
Yeah.
John George.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right. So we've been doing that now for 14 years, and it's really solidified, our space in the community. And I love it because it gives folks an opportunity to see not just me sitting at the council table, because I got to be a little bit more stoic, because I'm representing the people. But when I'm in those environments, I can kind of let my hair down, just be me, so we can tell jokes. But also, I take the criticism as well, and if there's something that we've dropped the ball on as a team, as me as a council member, I take accountability and I look at it as a learning opportunity and keep on pushing. But I never, ever, ever want to move away from the level of community engagement that we have, because that literally is what I believe has allowed me and my team to have the community capital of folks who say, you know what, we trust you. Now go do the right thing. We're going to follow up, but we trust you. And we've been able to do that for the last now 17 years.
Yeah.
Year 17.
And if I may, President Tate, people really don't understand. Back in the 40s, we had districts. Actually, they were wards, and what they were saying was this transition was because they kept saying, well, the same people keep getting elected to these wards. So then that's when they went at large, and then it turned around and said, well, y'all at large, but there's a certain amount of places in the city of Detroit that's not getting represented. So now we want to go back to what we call districts, So you're correct with that. But I'm like yourself. I do not like outside forces telling how the city of Detroit should be ran. and that has been the problem. I know through your transition on the city council, I know that was a big issue with me when I was on the city council, And it's interesting because you started with what mayor?
Dave Bing.
Dave Bing.
Y'all
And so
got elected at the same time?
right. And so you've seen that transition not only of the people, but kind of how is the transition, if you've seen it, with the council itself and the people?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. When I came in, there were 5 new members. And that's a huge shift, if you will, when you talk about a 9-member body.
Yes, sir.
And then after that, we had, I believe, 3 or 4 members. Not this last election, but the election before that, we had 6 new members. And again, when you talk about a complete overhaul,
Yes, sir.
it's different. So, and what happens every cycle, you get a different, sometimes it's a little bit different, sometimes it's a huge difference, but you have an ideology that of new members that come in, some of which are not as familiar with the intricacies of government and how it operates.
Yes, sir.
That it's hard sometimes for them to transition from community activists to actually government official. It's one thing when you're on the outside looking in and you're complaining about something, but it's another thing when you have to make the decision.
Yes, sir.
And you see many of those folks, when they cross over, they go, oh, okay, now I get it. And it has nothing to do with corruption.
That's right.
It has nothing to do with folks being bought out or bought off. It has all to do with these are real tough decisions that we have to make that impacts people's lives. And it's one thing if you're just looking at it from your perspective,
Right.
I want this and I want that. But when you have, a constituency, each district is set up to have approximately about 100,000 people.
Yes, sir.
When you have that many folks, you have to now listen to more than just what you think. Now, you start off, of course, with a moral background and ideology and all those things, but at the end of the day, you represent the people.
That's right.
And so it's imperative for you to make sure that you listen to what they say, what they want, and if, in fact, they are uninformed, you've got to work overtime, double time, triple time
That's
to
right.
give them the right
That's
information and then place it in front of them. And
That's
if they
right.
still want you to move in the wrong direction,
You got to make that tough decision.
you got to make that tough decision.
Yes, sir.
Now, you're Council President Tate in District 1.
Yes, sir.
Talk about the boundaries of where District 1.
No, Council President Tate overall.
Well,
he's in District 1.
In District 1.
But he's Council President Tate overall.
Okay, let me be corrected then and make sure I'm going to make
Like I
sure
said,
that we
gotta
kind
get
of
that
put this
brother
in there.
props.
Yes, sir. Put some respect on that name. So District 1, the thing that I'm very proud about, District 1 is the only district that actually, for the most part, retained its population as it relates to the census. We had some areas within the city of Detroit that lost 19% of their population, at least according, again, to the census. And I don't think that's accurate, to be honest with you. It didn't seem like, 13% over here lost and 19% over here. Then you have all these percentages that just don't jive with what I see and what I know about the city that I've lived in and working in my entire life. But I think what happened was, the census was conducted during COVID time. There was a lot of pressure from the federal government, misinformation
Yes,
about,
sir.
you filling out the census, we coming after you, or they're coming after you for child support, coming after you for Social Security, all those things. And it was just a weird and wacky time. And a lot of people, were, again, trying to keep themselves safe. So the last thing that they were focused on for many of them, unfortunately, is many times as we knocked on doors and put out advertisements, they weren't concerned about the census. And so we ended up having a much lower census count. But that's the number we have to go by.
Yes.
And according to the census, District 1, and we're talking about, if we just talk about neighborhoods, Brightmoor, Grandmont Rosedale, Minnock Park.
You're Curry St. Mary's too, aren't you?
Prairie St. Mary's as well. Yep, a number of those neighborhoods, part of Belmont as well. But it's, I love it. It's a juxtaposition in many situations, though, when you talk about Brightmoor right next to Grandmont Rosedale.
Yeah.
You look at the difference.
Yeah.
And so it's been a major push of mine to improve the quality of life for folks in Brightmoor. I mean, I live in Grandmont Rosedale, and sometimes I get grief from my neighbors. Say, why are you putting all this emphasis on Brightmoor? And then when I look at the folks on 7 Mile, Brightmoor, and O'Hare Park, why are you putting all this on Brightmoor? Brightmoor has been underserved for decades.
Yes.
Brightmoor has been a community where people have sometimes felt like they were forced to stay there as opposed to it's my choice to stay there. And over the last number of years, I mean, our budget has been challenged, so we haven't been able to do all the things we wanted to. But we have had partners early on, a number of years ago, with the Detroit Blight Authority. They came through and removed a lot of the non-structural blight in Brightmoor. And then with the federal government under Joe Biden's administration, we received HHF funding, and we ended up being able to go and demolish a number of the vacant, abandoned, dilapidated, burned down structures that were just sitting there, continue to bring down the neighborhood. And now we're in a position, and we started a few years ago with a revisioning of Brightmoor, having a framework, and it was inclusive of the community. So 2 years of community discussions, and that has now resulted in where we stand today. We have a large storm water project that's going to take place. It's going to basically be, almost like a pond that's created within a neighborhood. It's going to help with the storm water and the basement backups that folks have in the area, but also give us a centerpiece that we can start building around. For the last 2 years, I've also put in the city's budget $1 million for a workforce training program that goes directly towards Brightmoor. No other neighborhood but Brightmoor, because when we look at the annual median income of folks who live in Brightmoor, and this is not everybody, so I don't want anybody to think that just because you live in Brightmoor, you're poor, right? That's not the story for everybody. But when you just look at the overall average income, we're talking about $24,000 a family. That is woefully low.
It is.
You can't compete like that,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So as we start to redevelop Brightmoor, we want to make sure that the people who currently live in that neighborhood have an opportunity to help revive it as well. And if we don't do anything to increase their incomes, increase their opportunity for skill level increase, all we'll be doing is just signing their release out of Brightmoor and not knowing where they're going to go, because everybody's going to increase the prices on everything.
Right.
And if I'm a landlord that's been charging about $900 because that's all I can, when I get an opportunity to increase that rent, I'm going to do it. And I can't be mad at them because of that. But so it's imperative of government to do what we can, not to just hand out and give out, but to help lift up the community. And I'm so thankful. We had one of our first cohorts graduate. And I've seen some folks who had no employment, and now they're making $70,000.
Right.
And they're bringing it home to their family. So that's the stuff that really matters to me.
Yes.
So the criticism that comes, it's just a part of the game.
Yeah.
Just a part of it.
And President Tate, one of the things I know we used to discuss was the fact that, one was that average medium income. And, the average median income is associated with communities outside the city of Detroit. And just like you're saying, if folks, a majority of the folks in Brightmoor are making $24,000, how can you compare that with somebody that's making $100,000 plus or even $1 million? And so these are some of the things that also needs to be addressed. There's just so much that is going on, and just like you stated, we need to be bringing the community, because like you said, it's about the people.
That's right.
It's always about the people, and if we not making sure that the people are associated and competitive with everybody else, then we're not doing our job.
Just think about D.C.
Right.
I love visiting D.C.
Yeah, me and you both.
There's no way I would want to live in D.C. based on the prices, the cost of living.
Yes, sir.
But we remember what D.C. was like.
Right.
D.C. had some of the same challenges we
sir.
have and have in the city of Detroit. Chocolate City, I remember, they were talking about, Chocolate City. And it don't look like that anymore.
That's right.
And the question is, what happened to all those folks who were there? There's no real understanding of what they didn't go to PG County, right? That's not where they are. So where did they go?
Yes.
And I cannot allow my residents, my sister lives in Brightmoor. My other sister used to live in Brightmoor. She moved not too far from me now. My mother-in-law, God rest her soul again, that's where my wife was born and raised, in Brightmoor. So I've got a connection to that community.
Yes.
So the last thing that I can allow to happen is what we saw in D.C. While it may be beautiful, the people who were there are no longer in that city who held it down, and just the cost of everything is just too high. Now we got to do some development in the neighborhood, and it's going to raise prices.
We got to take a break.
Okay.
So we're going to come right back with Detroit City Council President, my frat brother. I have to keep reiterating that part again. 06 in the house. Definitely, James Tate. But thank you again. We're going to be right back. So we're going to get more into especially the things that Council President Tate is most proud of during his administration that he's been on council in the city of Detroit. So stay tuned.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Mattered. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
You may be entitled to money left over from the auction sale of your foreclosed property in March of this year. To get any money left over from the sale of that property, you must file a claim using the Notice of Intent to File a Claim form by July 1st. You can download the claims form going to the Treasurer's website, clicking on the box that says Claims and Auctions, and then clicking on the yellow box that says Notice of Intent Claims Form, or use the QR code on your screen. It's your money. Start the process now, but you must file a claim by July 1st.
If you enjoy the music, the talk, and the vibe right here on WHPR, we need your support. Help us keep independent radio alive by sending a Cash App donation of whatever you can to $WHPR TV Radio. Every dollar makes a difference. That's $WHPR TV Radio. Support the station that supports you.
My name is Darwin Griffin, and I am the host of Truth to Power, which is a thoughtful weekly TV show that airs on WHPR TV 15.2 every Friday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, bringing influential voices and leaders to the forefront to discuss issues that impact our cities, our states, and the world. This show aims to educate, inspire, and engage our audience with people in today's news.
All media platforms are engaged. Copy. Get ready to launch your show or product. Periscope ready. We're 5x5 ready to launch. Copy that. Trend worldwide across all major platforms.
Ignition. 3, 2, 1.
The world is waiting. Watkins Broadcasting. More than just TV.
313watkins.com. Streaming on Roku.
We are now streaming on Alexa. That's right, we're streaming our TV audio worldwide on Alexa. To get us, just say,
Alexa, enable Watkins Broadcasting.
Okay, here's Watkins Broadcasting. Starting the Watkins Broadcasting live stream.
Now, Alexa will allow you to listen to your favorite TV programs. Remember, to get us, just say,
Alexa, enable Watkins Broadcasting.
Okay, here's Watkins Broadcasting. Starting the Watkins Broadcasting live stream.
We're streaming our TV audio worldwide.
And welcome back. And you are watching a very special edition of Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and we are joined on this journey today by the Honorable Roy McAllister Jr., and we are very, very blessed to have the Detroit City Council President, James Tate, in the house with us today. So we are so happy that you took time out of your day. We know that you have a ribbon cutting ceremony that you have to go to today.
Yes.
So that's part of some of your duties and responsibilities as City Council President. And then the other part, too, is that the person that was in that position before you, now you'll be joining her, but in a different capacity, because now she's the mayor.
She's the mayor.
of the city of Detroit. But talk first real quick about how you became, because I know we've had Mayor Sheffield was the city council president. Now she's the mayor. And I'm going to throw something out there, too. I'm going to throw that out there, but you probably know where I'm leading to. So if you want to allude to that, that's up to you. But that's interesting how the ascension goes from, like, here, she was city council. Then she ascended to being the city council president.
Well, it goes a little
now
bit more
she's
than that, because she was pro tem.
Yes.
President
Then-
pro tem, correct.
Right, President pro tem, then president, now mayor.
And you were pro tem too, right?
I was pro tem.
There we go. It seems like there's a
You see where it's going.
something going, right? So, Council President Tate, you see that little difference,
Yes,
but
sir.
I know somebody asked me to ask you, so and I know, but I just want you to tell. It was at large, and whoever got the most votes, and then whoever got the second highest votes became president and also president pro tem.
Mm-hmm.
But how is that done now?
So let me first say, I'm supportive of the current mayor. I don't want nobody going on saying Tate's plotting. No.
Yeah.
She just got in there. I'm supportive of her. I've been supportive of her as a colleague as well. I watched her career, 12 years on council, and worked with her as a colleague, side by side as dual council members. But then as her ascension to council president pro tem, and then president, and being right beside her as well. And I really appreciate the opportunity to, be a partner of hers as well, as we lead the city together. The first time that has ever happened, to
Right,
be honest with you.
right.
So, one of us finally got over the curve, if you will.
And I know this is coming, but this is one of the things that was so unique, that we had a council that really worked together.
Yes.
Not all our ideas.
agree all the time.
We didn't agree all together, but we worked together.
Yes, sir.
Before prior councils, there was a lot of bickering and a lot of this and that and there. But the council I know that I was a part of and continued on with yourself, Mayor Sheffield, it was a council that worked together.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to put that out there too.
Yeah, and under my leadership, I'm doing my best to make sure we continue
Yes,
to do
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
That's important.
Excellent job with it too.
But to your question about how city council president gets seated in that position, as you mentioned in the past, it was whoever was the highest vote getter. But once we went to districts, it was kind of weird. How do you do that with everyone? So we went to a situation where it was also outlined in the charter that city council members were the ones who are now the ones who vote on their leadership. And that's not uncommon. You see that in many municipalities, townships around the country. But it was new for us, at least, in this iteration of this generation, having the council members elect their own president. And I'll tell you, I made it through with the hair of my chinny chin chin. It was a 4-5 vote. I don't run away from that. I do recognize that, we've got, to your point, we got some strong council members.
That's right.
And I don't take offense to anyone who did not support me in that in that effort to be council president, especially since I won. So,
But you know what? Let me say this also, to your credit. That's another thing. We have so many people that will say, "Oh, you didn't support me, so I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that to you." You are a person that is just fair across the board, and you believe in a person should have those ideas because you're individual. And so let's now work together and let's move forward. So I have to commend you, Council President Tate, for that.
Thank you.
That character. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, it was it's an absolute honor, to sit in this position as council president. And as we talk about the history, I went back and I looked. City of Detroit's been around for a couple hundred years. I'm only the 4th African American male to serve as council president, starting with Gil Hill. Then we had Ken Cockrell.
Yes.
Then we had Charles Pugh, and now me. And I don't take that lightly at all. It is an extreme honor to be able to serve in this capacity, to be able to serve in a city that I know and love.
Yes.
I don't know where things are going to lead moving forward, but in year 17, at the end of this term, it'll literally be 20 years on council. And I don't, I'm always cognizant. There was this quote in Dark Knight, that said that either you live to be he said you die the hero or you live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my best not to become the villain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So at some point, you've got to figure out when to say when. Before they tell you when, but also you also need to embrace the fact that people want you in this seat,
right?
And they want you to continue to do what you do because they're pleased.
Yes.
So it's a balance. It's a balance. I'm not trying to rush out, but I'm also keeping my ears open to the community. But the other piece to it is, life happens. I just talked about my mother-in-law. Life happens like that. So we've got to figure out, for someone like myself, I never want to be the kind of guy who kind of hoards power and hoards the position. It's time, and I'm working on building the bench of folks who are, capable of taking this position on and continue to serve. I would love for them to continue the things that I've implemented, but I want someone who has their own thoughts and opinions as well. But I want to provide, the community with alternatives. And, many times when you have someone who has sat in the seat for as long as I have, when, life happens, either they get unelected or they end up, either get unelected or they decide to leave, then there's a vacuum. Yeah. And anybody and everybody just shows up, and anybody and everybody ends up having the ability to win. That can throw everything off. I love this legislative body too much to allow that to happen. I love my city too much and my district too much, my neighbors and my family. I love them too much to allow that to happen. And I was actually building that bench, if you will, around COVID time, right before that happened, because I didn't know how long I was going to be doing this. Yeah. And then when COVID happened, again, it just kind of took things in a different direction.
Yes, it did.
Some of the folks who were interested in, politics and governing, they ended up, doing other things and having other distractions. So still, if you live in District 1, calling you right now, reach out to my office, because I would love to talk to you, because I want to see how much you know about the community, how much you know about government, what's your intention, and let's have those conversations.
So one thing I want to do right quick before you ask some of the questions that I know Summer Moore Crawford had to give you to ask Council President Tate. But I want you to really give recognition to the people that brought you here today. Because I know you've got your photographer here, and give him a shout out, give his name, and then also to the police presence that's here, as well too, and then to, I don't want to mispronounce the name, but the lady that Roy kept in conversation with.
Yeah,
but give your people that allowed you to come here today, that brought you here today, give them a shout out real quick.
Yeah, there is no way, as I've given my wife a shout out and appreciation, and she deserved all of it. The other piece to the other very important piece is the team that I assembled, the team that works along with me. I don't say they work for me; they work with me, because we put this together as a team. And I've got Melvin; he's over there on the side. He's never too far away. Also, Tia and she's worked on the communications aspect, or working along with Melvin in the terms of communications. Kalia Humphreys. Yes. If I end up saying all their names, I get in trouble, because I may miss one, today, because of where my brain is. But I just want to thank, and it's not just the team today. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. It's the entire team over the entirety of my career, my tenure, that has allowed me to be in the position, allowed us to be in the position that we're in today. So just shout out to them, because there's no way that I would be able to do this by myself. Cannot do it, don't want to do it by myself. I want to make sure that I have a strong team that's compassionate, that's smart, that's willing, that's hardworking, and all those boxes are checked with the folks that I have on my staff. So appreciate you giving me an opportunity, Brother Darwin, to shout them out as well.
Well, it takes a team to make the dream work.
Right.
So that's the important part. But go ahead,
But the other thing too with that is you have young people, and that is our future, and you also are training them for them to continue on with that legacy, and which is where I'm going with Ms. Summers' question is this protect your crown. Where can you talk about that, and what is the ages of that, as what type of legacy do you want to see once you decide to either retire or you step down from this position?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, we rolled out this Protect Your Crown initiative. You see it right here on the water bottle. I'm always going around with my crown pen to remind folks, and it is a mental health awareness campaign. And I'm building on the legacy that you started, Brother Roy, on City Council when you had the Mental Health Task Force.
Thank you.
So I always want to give you homage for that. You really laid the runway for folks like myself to be able to live in that space and create something.
Thank you.
But this is a life passion of mine. This is not something that is required from council. You know, when you look at the charter says that we are responsible for, as council, approving budgets, approving contracts,
resolutions,
all
ordinances,
land sales,
yeah.
all those things. But it has nothing to do with these passion projects that we have.
Yes.
And I recognize that a number of folks in the city of Detroit, I mean, around this country, around this world, I don't want to say suffer, but they're on a mental health journey.
Yes, sir.
They're on a mental health journey. And some of them along that journey, because they do not want to recognize and don't want to address it, it turns into suffering.
Yes, sir.
And I want to remove that suffering from them and allow them to be the best them that they can be.
Thank you.
And so for 2 years ago, we put out a survey that was first time ever to the residents of the city of Detroit, digital survey, to give what is your attitudes towards mental health awareness as well as resources. And we got that filled out by thousands of Detroiters. All right, check. We have a better understanding of what their experiences are, they being my constituents and residents. Last year, we did the big thing we did with the mental health Protect Your Crown, we did a coffee shop tour throughout the city of Detroit. Hit all 7 districts. And you were there as well, brother.
Yes,
we appreciate you for that.
Yes, sir.
And then this year, well, let me back up. Last year, we had a representative from Detroit Public School System that says, you know what? We need to bring this to our high schools. I need to get you in our high schools. I said, okay, sign me up. And that's what she did. And so this year, we just wrapped up in May when the students, right before the students let out for summer recess, we did a high school tour. We went to 8 high schools in the city of Detroit, all throughout the city as well, not just in District 1. And we had conversations with these students. It was so rewarding.
I can imagine.
There is nothing that I've done in my career thus far that matches this. And we told the schools, do not force anybody to show up. We want those who actually want this information, because I don't want to spend time, lift your head up, get off your phone, take your headphones off. And each school had about 30 to 40 students. And when I tell you, there were no heads on the table, there were no phones that were being taken out. And we had them for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And that's hard to keep the interest of teenagers nowadays for that long, especially when, you know, the next thing that they have after you is home, you know, recess. So
and some of them don't even have that.
And don't have that.
Yes, sir.
But we got them. We provided them with techniques. I didn't want to just come and just say mental health is important, right? Right. No, we're bringing to you resources. So we brought them examples of breathing techniques. You know, the box breathing, the 4-7-8, and other things. That and they experienced it for the first time, and they were like, oh, wow, I feel better. And we went through a mood chart. How do you feel right now at the beginning of the meeting? We went through it again after all the resources and the conversation. Is your mood the same? Many of them did, in fact, have a different opinion of things. They didn't know what to expect. But it felt real good to be able to connect with our young folks. And here I am, you know, with all this gray hair in my head. You know, when they see that
gray hair now, hold it. But go ahead.
And I love it because it's still here. So I'm not.
But it's a crown. It's a crown of wisdom.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And the most rewarding part of even that experience is once the workshops were over with, the students wouldn't leave. We had to kick them out. Hey, y'all, they wanted to tell us how thankful they were and how they want us to come back.
And their personal stories. And
stories.
Open up. Yes, sir.
Well, you know, that's something that kind of gives me an opportunity to segue into another question I wanted to ask you, too. Roy, I'll let you finish with some of those questions. But let's talk about these teen takeovers.
Oh, yeah.
And just to kind of give your take on what's happening and why do you think these teen takeovers are occurring now?
So I would say the terminology of teen takeover is, you know, because of social media, right?
Okay.
And it was young people labeling what they do. But let's be real, and this is what I tell folks all the time. Young people have always wanted to be with other young people. Whether you talk about the mall, whether you talk about, again, my experience, 7 Mile, right, when I was growing up, Jefferson and Belle Isle. For some, it was Livernois with the races. All right. Okay.
Right there, Livernois and Warren, because they would get right there.
That's right.
So we always wanted to be with other young people. So we can't try to pretend like that's a new phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
The new phenomenon is the fact that somebody can just put a flyer together and put it on social media, and they just start showing up in droves.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to balance that knowledge of young people wanting to be together and our desire for them to be safe. Because as we know, all it takes is one.
That's right.
Yeah.
One person. And typically, unfortunately that happens, right? But what we also have to do is curtail that group think.
Right.
That so-called, as some people would say, and it sounds negative, that pack mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody sees something happening, they join in. Even when they know this ain't the right
That
thing.
it's not right to do.
It's not right to do. And then they end up recording it in that social media. So that, they get that clout. That's the thing that we have to interrupt.
President Tate, it goes back to when you and I were on council, we had to deal with the George Floyd incident.
Yes, sir.
We had folks that came there and they protested, but they protested peacefully. But then we had, like you said, that outside group that came in and wanted to instigate. That's the difference that we have to separate from.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And
Yes,
and that's when we start talking to our young folks, we got to stop, this language, this feeling that what they're doing is weird and strange. It's not. It's not. We did it as well. I remember, and all I wanted to do was get phone numbers. I wanted to just hang out with my boys. That's all I wanted to do. And that's all a lot of them are trying to do as well. It's just unfortunate that you have some who tend to go, in a different direction when they're there, and we paint them all with a broad brush. I'm not saying we don't do anything. I appreciate the fact that we're having these events. Today, there's a teen kick, a teen kickback that the mayor's been having every Friday.
Okay.
So it was over in District 1 last week. Today it's going to be at Hart Plaza.
Okay.
So week by week during the summertime all the way through August, there's this ability for young people to gather in a safe environment. You have free food. You have musical artists that they love. They can participate and reach out and touch. All of this, and resources as well for families. Because it's important not to just have a good time. If you got folks there and you have them having a good time, that's good. But how do we make sure that we have resources where you can connect with, get assistance with your utilities, get assistance with your
Again,
home.
like you said, it's about the people.
About the
Giving
people.
About the people.
You
Yes,
have
sir.
to,
Yes,
and make
sir.
it accessible. So,
Yes, sir.
and it's not just in one place. It's
Yes,
not
sir.
just in her. It's in every area of the city of Detroit. So I got to give her credit for that. She got a lot of people who came out and said, what are you doing? You should just arrest the kids, put them, lock them up if they're not doing right. Yeah, the ones who are not doing right and they're trying to harm people and damaging business, absolutely. But we cannot paint all of our young folks with a broad brush, because if they would have done that, they would have thrown me away a long time ago.
All three of us, I think.
I'm just being real.
Yeah, all three of us. Yeah.
We're going to another summer question, because I want someone to be looking over here at me like, wait a minute, where my other questions in there?
But what you're talking about, especially when you're talking about the Protect Your Crown, I think you're getting ready to have a guest on later on that's going to come in and talk about some of the issues around that. But one of the other questions that Summer Crawford wanted to ask, and that's our girl. And I just want to thank her because her husband's birthday is today. Woo! And
right.
he's allowed her to share this with us. So thank you. But
that's good when you say Ray, knowing his name and to say his name like that.
Yeah.
And I know that has to make Summer proud to hear her husband's name on his birthday.
That's it.
Yeah. But one of the things that she wants to know is, when you move forward, what do you want your legacy to be, and how do you want to pattern it and see things moving forward as far as that?
Yeah, my legacy, I want folks to say, when I finally, whatever happens to me in this, situation as I transition out, I want them to be able to say that I was fair. You mentioned that earlier, that I was someone who was very deliberative about what I do and did. I was always accessible to the community.
Yes, sir.
And listened to them, but I was, firm and didn't get swayed by, outside folks. Whether those outside folks are, people who we love and know, we still have to make sure that we hold them to the same level of account.
Right.
And sometimes the people that you know and love, they don't have all the information.
That's
so
right.
You've got to make sure you inform them of the things that they're not aware of. But that's how I want to be known, and that I made a difference.
Yes, sir.
That I changed things. And it wasn't all about me. You know, they'll see me even to this day. My team, I say, go up front, because I'm not the one who always want to. Take the shine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. Let's get the thing done. As long as we get the thing done, I'll be all right.
That's right.
You know,
That's
I'm
right.
all right. My name will be attached to it somewhere. You know, in that situation. And as long as we changing lives, whether I'm in the front of the room, back of the room, not in the room, I don't care if I had an opportunity to help
Make a
move
difference.
us forward.
Yes, sir.
What do you think, Council President Tate, was when you look at a lot of the accomplishments in the city of Detroit all the years that you've been here, what are you most proud of when you go back and tell people that I'm from Detroit, when you go out and visit, you know, other communities throughout the country? What do you tell people that you're most proud of about the city of Detroit?
So the thing I would say is just the overall resurgence that we have had in the city. While, you know, it wasn't a good time for a lot of people, and it's hurt a lot of folks, especially our retirees.
Yes.
Bankruptcy, going through that process allowed us to restructure our debt so that we were able to, at that point, and up to now, put our finances, our budget towards the things that actually matter to the residents today, and it's going to allow us to build. You know, if you go back to pre-bankruptcy times, you know, I remember when the trash man was picking up the trash sometime at 10 p.m. at night.
That's right.
If they came that week.
That's
I
right.
remember some of the police cars were just broken down,
Yeah.
and they stayed in that condition. Unfortunately, we weren't closing as many cases that we wanted to. We had lights that were out. I mean, it was all of these things that were taking place, and it wasn't because the heart wasn't there. It's because there were some bad deals that were made by city government at that time. There were some challenges with the state and the federal government as well. And it landed us in a situation where we were. I mean, divestment, you know, from the city as well, from many of our corporations. And it takes a steel gut to withstand some of the negative comments that comes from some folks who are uninformed about it, but then about what's necessary, but also to keep moving and spinning multiple plates. While you're working on the development, you know, you got to work on developing the community. That's a plate you're spinning. You still got to work on addressing the issues in the community, right? So you're spinning these plates. And they don't always spin at the same speed. They all don't often, you know, are in each other's vision, but you're still spinning those plates. And I tell residents in the districts, in the neighborhoods, that what's happening in this plate, you know, the downtown and development, we got to spin it because we're a major city. We still have to spin this plate. But we still have to spin this one as well. But what we do in these two situations, they're going to look different.
Yes, sir.
So when you look at our neighborhoods, while we may not have everything that we want in our neighborhoods, on our block, it'd be hard pressed for folks to say that it's worse than it was.
Well, now, what I
Can I
want
say
to
one thing, John?
go ahead.
I would just want to accommodate something with that. Keep that thought down. One of the things that people do not understand is nationally, everybody looks at Detroit.
Yes, sir.
Nationally. I mean, from the automotive industry, to the dress, to when we went through COVID, to when we went through bankruptcy, everybody says, how does Detroit
How did you do it?
How did Detroit do it?
Yeah.
How did Detroit get out of this? We need to follow what they did. And I just had to put that in there because nationally, Detroit is the eye for this country, for a lot of states, especially when you're talking about majority blacks. I'm sorry, Don, but I just had to throw that in there.
But I just want to do something real quick because I know we got to get ready to wrap up to let you go, you know, to your ribbon cutting ceremony. But I do want to tell you on behalf of Watkins Broadcasting here with our president, R.J. Watkins, we definitely want to extend an opportunity for you to come back
I'd love to.
anytime
Yes,
that
sir.
you'd like to come back. And, you know, if there's announcements that you want to make about what's going on, some of the things that's happening in Detroit under your leadership, under the Mayor Sheffield's leadership, and also Council Pro Tem Coleman Young Jr., correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So that we definitely, and the rest of the members of the City Council, anytime that you, and even if you would like to go and come back on and bring really any of the other people in your administration to come back on with you, as well as to bring Mayor Sheffield, the mayor, to come back on. We'd love to host you, here, and then keep us abreast of some of the things that is going on in the city of Detroit, because that's what we want to do here at Watkins Broadcasting, is make sure that you understand we are here to help serve the people here in the great cities of Highland Park and Detroit. Absolutely. So whatever we can do to help to perpetuate growth, perpetuate education, and perpetuate the people that are really striving to make Detroit the best city that it can be.
Yes, sir.
So again, we want to thank you for coming on, to show with us today. Tim is telling us we got to take time to, to wrap up. But again, give your contact information if somebody wants to get in touch with you to find out anything about some of the goings on in the city of Detroit or what's happening at District 1, please.
So if you go to our Instagram page, Councilman Tate 313, you can find us there, and it'll go through the other pages that we have as well. But, we may have some folks who like to do it the old school way. You can give us a call at 313-224 1027, or you can send an email as well. And it's Councilman, it's a long email. Councilmember Tate at DetroitMI.gov. So that's long. But we just want to stay in contact with folks. But you can also show up at the meetings that I host, right? So every month I host 3 community meetings. Like I mentioned, at the Motor City Java House, every first and third Friday, we're there from 11 a.m. until 12:30 or 1 o'clock, whenever folks release me. And then every fourth Saturday of the month, as a matter of fact, it's coming up tomorrow. Our District 1 monthly meeting that we host, and that's 10 a.m. until about 12:30 or so. We move that one around, like I mentioned earlier, the district. So just really want folks to, tell me what their thoughts are on the city of Detroit. It's not exclusive to District 1 residents. Whoever you are, and we have information about government there. I always have a youth spotlight, so we highlight a young person in the community, but we also have elements of just regular lifestyle things. So we had presentations about uterine fibroids in Black women. Nobody's talking about that right now. We've talked about the importance of blood donation. No one's really talking about it, especially in our community. So we're doing that. I'm actually going to be hosting a blood drive in September.
You got to have you come back on.
We're going to have you I'll be back on for that. But even before that, July 18th, we're going to be over at Renaissance High School. I partner with African American Male Wellness Agency, and we're doing a men's health fair.
Well, we want to be your resource.
Yes, sir.
So we here at WHPR TV, we want to be your resource. So if you need to get the word out, we're here for you.
I'm in. I'll do better.
Appreciate it. Roy, thank you again for bringing Council President Tate on the show with us today. And again, we want to thank you for being on this show.
Yes,
we got to make sure we represent
they didn't see
that.
that.
Right. So we got to make sure we keep that in private. But
yes,
you're watching a special edition of Truth to Power. We have had Council President for Detroit, James Tate, with us today. So again, stay tuned. We have none other than a young lady that has a very poignant story that she wants to bring to our attention as well.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Mattered. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
If you enjoy the music, the talk, and the vibe right here on WHPR, we need your support. Help us keep independent radio alive by sending a Cash App donation of whatever you can to $WHPR TV Radio. Every dollar makes a difference. That's $WHPR TV Radio. Support the station that supports you.
You may be entitled to money left over from the auction sale of your foreclosed property in March of this year. To get any money left over from the sale of that property, you must file a claim using the Notice of Intent to File a Claim form by July 1st. You can download the claims form going to the Treasurer's website, clicking on the box that says Claims and Auctions, and then clicking on the yellow box that says Notice of Intent Claims Form, or use the QR code on your screen. It's your money. Start the process now, but you must file a claim.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
My name is Darwin Griffin, and I am the host of Truth to Power, which is a thoughtful weekly TV show that airs on WHPR TV 15.2 every Friday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, bringing influential voices and leaders to the forefront to discuss issues that impact our cities, our states, and the world. This show aims to educate, inspire, and engage our audience with people in today's news.
We are now streaming on Alexa. That's right, we're streaming our TV audio worldwide on Alexa. To get us, just say,
Alexa, enable Watkins Broadcasting.
Okay, here's Watkins Broadcasting, starting the Watkins Broadcasting live stream.
Now, Alexa will allow you to listen to your favorite TV programs. Remember, to get us, just say,
Alexa, enable Watkins Broadcasting.
Okay, here's Watkins Broadcasting, starting the Watkins Broadcasting live stream.
We're streaming our TV audio worldwide.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
And good morning again, and welcome to a very special edition of Truth to Power. And we are joined now by Faith Brown. And Faith Brown has a poignant story to tell our audience. She's an author of a book called The Monster Who Killed in His Family Twice. And she also, is going to talk to us a little bit about an event that she has coming up this coming Sunday. So I don't want to take any further time, but I want you to get acquainted with Miss Faith Brown. Faith, welcome to a very special edition of Truth to Power today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And I just want pretty much just so our viewing audience can get acquainted, who is Faith Brown?
Faith Brown now is an author, an advocate. I work in the community. I have a nonprofit for domestic survivors.
And now when you mention in terms of, say, about a nonprofit, if somebody wants to get in contact with you, because I want to do that first, because I know we'll probably be rushing in this last hour that we do with. Tell about your nonprofit. Tell in terms of, say, if there's a contact information, website, phone number, email address, where somebody can get in contact with you in regard to your nonprofit information.
Okay, my nonprofit is Impacting Faith and Resiliency. It is for domestic violence survivors and child loss. You can reach me at 248-906-5303. My email is ifarinc4@gmail.com. That's IFARINC, the number 4@gmail.com. You can also reach me at Faith Brown on Facebook. Instagram is ifarinc4. I'm sorry. Yeah, because I just recently changed it. So it's ifarinc4 on Instagram as well.
Okay. And primarily, you've got an event coming up.
Yes.
This coming Sunday. So we'll get to that now, because because I
Okay.
know once we get to your story, I know that I want to kind of go through that pretty much like nonstop. But tell in terms of, say, about the event that you've got coming up on Sunday.
Okay, so the event that I'm hosting on Sunday is called Petals of Strength. It's a Tea Party fundraiser. So the theme is, Tea Party attire.
Okay.
So I want it to be a little fun, but also bringing awareness for domestic violence. The point of the fundraiser is to raise money for workshops, also so that we can have, funding, because I don't have funding right now. So I do come across women that do leave their homes. They need to go to hotels, things like that. So that is the reason why we have these fundraisers.
And if somebody wants to donate money to your event or to some of the things that you want to do, especially to help other women, give that information again.
You can, I do have Cash App. The Cash App is ifarinc@gmail.com. It comes up as Impacting Faith and Resiliency. You can also go on my Facebook page and donate there as well, and also on my Instagram as well. There's a link in there as well.
Okay. Now, you wrote a book,
Yes.
and I thank you for this book.
You're welcome.
You wrote a book called The Monster Who Killed His Family Twice.
Yes.
And it's subtitled The True Story of the Dearborn Heights Murder.
Yes.
Kind of segue into, lead up to what got you to write this book, please.
Well, what made me write this book was, once I went through my tragedy, I knew that I was going to need healing, and I knew that I was going to want to help people throughout the community. And once I went through my healing, I knew that I was going to want to write a book at some point. So that's what led me to write the book.
And tell the story real quick, and then we'll kind of go into some questions afterwards, because there's a lot of people that are living what you went through.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that have lived what you went through. And there's a lot of people that may be going through domestic situations with their spouses or with their loved ones and need to hear what you did, especially the healing process that you went through. And what were some of the signs that you knew that things weren't right? And then there's a lot of people that don't have that courage to get out of a situation that may be toxic or might be volatile, like that. And I know that, I've had Roy McAllister on the show, several times before, and we talked about the mental health status when it comes down to a lot of families in crisis. But you had a real traumatic situation that occurred, in your life as well as in your children's life. If you want to lead up to what happened prior to that date, but then if you want to, and it's hard to really even talk about that because, this happened how many years ago?
September would be 10 years.
10 years ago.
Yes.
And just kind of let our audience know what did happen 10 years ago.
So 10 years ago, I was married to my ex-husband, Gregory Green. I want to start with this. I knew things weren't right in my marriage. I wasn't making that correlation because a lot of times we see that physical is domestic violence. He wasn't physical, so he was mostly just mental, verbal, tormenting. And I wasn't making that correlation that was domestic violence. In my mind, I was like, this just isn't right, and I need to get out of it. So once I made up my mind that I was going to leave him, and I informed him that I was going to leave him and that I was going to divorce him, he got served papers, and he began acting weird, and he stopped paying for things for the children and, taking away money. That's one of the red flags, taking away money. And that's something that I didn't know at the time. In my head, I'm like, well, I'll just go back to work. But that's the thing. Trying to isolate, that didn't work, but that still is pressure.
When you say isolate
like not wanting me to be around family, not wanting me to be around friends, but I still went around my family and friends. I didn't let him keep me from them. But those are things that he would try to do, but I did it anyway. Just putting pressure on me, allowing my middle girl, which is our oldest daughter, together to do whatever she wanted. If I told her, don't jump on the bed, oh, she can do that. Just, letting her defy me, telling her she didn't have to go to school. If I said go right, he would tell her go left.
So just the opposite of everything that
Yes.
you were saying.
Yes.
He was trying to contradict everything you
Right.
said.
Just causing havoc in the home, just a lot of confusion. A lot of it didn't even make sense. I don't even have answers for it, kind of like what I was telling you in our previous conversation. So once he got served the papers, when I would come home, he would leave the house. He wouldn't eat my cooking, and he just got really, really weird. But still, he was trying to portray to his family that, he was this good guy. He would do anything for his daughters, because his younger daughters, the younger two were his daughters, not my older two. So he still was trying to portray like he was this good father. So as time went on, he just was quiet. So one night when I came home after picking up my oldest daughter from work, he just says to me, you effed up, right? So I'm just like, let me just go to bed, because I don't have time for this, because that was a norm for him to wake me up in the middle of the night. So I know I didn't have a lot of time to sleep. But to make a long story short, he wakes me up, and that's when the most horrific thing just unfolded that night, where he proceeded to kill my older children in front of me. And then he shot me and cut me. And then later I learned, once I arrived at the hospital, that he killed my younger two by carbon monoxide poisoning. And once I was in the hospital, that's when I learned that he had previously murdered his ex-wife and stabbed her, I don't know how many times, but that was something that I didn't know about. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God. And my best friend came, and I was just like, did you know he did this? And that was something I never knew. The story was never available or anything like that. So it was just so many things, because you're in shock, and it's like, what do you do now? It's just, all of your children are gone, and you can't think, you can't function, you're just there.
What were the ages of the children?
At the time, they were 19, 17, 5, and 4.
And what were their names?
Chadney, Kara, Coy, and Kaylee.
Well, we definitely our hearts go out to you. Yeah. And we know they're looking down, from heaven upon their mom that is using the courage and the strength to come on this show, today to tell the story. But let's talk about your 4. Just kind of, talk a little bit about them. Mm-hmm. What were some of the things that they like doing?
My son, he was into paintballing, airsoft. He was an artist. He graduated from Specs Howard for digital media arts, and he had just started his own business for graphic design. That was something that he liked doing. My daughter, it was her senior year. She was on a roll. She was into everything, track, cheerleading, mentoring. She was later I learned she was about to get into like a medical program.
Okay.
Because she wanted to be an OBGYN.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So she was excellent. Ever since she started school, she always had excellent grades. Coy and Kaylee, they had just started private school, so Coy was just learning Spanish, and the younger one, Kaylee, she was just getting ready. I was just getting ready to enroll her into soccer, and they both were into ballet and cheerleading. Yep. And we loved outdoors and barbecuing. We always did family things all the time.
Oh, wow. Yep. So the situation occurred. Mm-hmm. You were taken to the hospital. That's when you say you found out about the 2 younger ones.
Yes.
That had transitioned. Mm-hmm. And what were some of the thoughts that were going through your head during that time when you were hearing about the 2 older children and then now the 2 younger children, as well, and you're in the hospital? you said that he had shot you and then he also cut you.
Mm-hmm.
What was going through your head during that time?
During that time, I just remember thinking, before he even, shot my older two, like, well, let me not talk loud, because sometimes when you're talking to somebody, your voice gets a little bit excited, maybe a little loud, because he would always say, like, you're talking too loud. That's what he would always tell me. So I was like, no, I was saying no. But in actuality, he said that I would, just from watching the interrogation video, he said that I was screaming. But in my mind, I was thinking, like, okay, let me be calm. But I really wasn't calm, That's what was going on in my mind. And I remember, because he had me on the couch tied up, I remember thinking, like, let me brace myself, because, I didn't know where he was going to shoot me at. And I guess because I was so numb, or maybe the adrenaline, I couldn't even feel it. And then I just remember him, grabbing my face and slashing me. And the only thing that I felt was when he shot at me a second time, the bullet ricocheted on the floor and, like, grazed my right foot. That's the only thing I felt, and it was like a burning feeling. And that was it. Because you just really, I don't really even know how to explain it. You really feel so discombobulated just from the gunshots, because it felt like it sounded like it was echoing, and it was almost like you could see the sound waves, and it's you feel like you're out of it, just like you're bobbing, and like you're almost like an inner outer body experience. I don't really know how to really explain it, so I guess you're just really shocked and numb.
You're numb over what all, and then you're trying to process everything that went on and what led to, and then what happened, during and then after the situation occurred. But talk about your healing process, because you're in the hospital, your people are coming there to visit you and tell you about what happened, the horrific, situation that occurred. And so now he's arrested, and I think from our conversations we've had prior to, so he's been incarcerated for the last number of years.
Yes.
And what was the sentence that they gave him?
They gave him, I believe it was like 47 to 99 years, because we don't have death penalty here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he basically has life in prison.
And the thing that was so ironic about it was that he was incarcerated before. And now, and if he had stayed incarcerated for what he did previously, this may not have occurred to you and to your children, as well. Right. So let's go through your healing process in terms of after this occurred, you're in the hospital, you're going through your healing process, and take us through the healing process itself, because now you had been shot, you had been stabbed, or he had cut you, and now then, what was going through in terms of, you had a lot of healing that you had to go through, because he shot you where? He shot you in
shot me in my foot.
In your foot. So now you had to learn how to walk again, or just?
I didn't have to learn how to walk again, because it went through like the side of my heel and came out the bottom, right where the heel is at. So it's kind of like in a bad spot, like when you walk. So like when it gets cold, it hurts. Like my face. So I have neuropathy in my face and my foot. So no, they tell you have to walk on it. So it was just like a big open wound. So it was like I was just limping. So
now you've had to go through, I'm sure, like rehabilitation, to go through a lot of therapy. And how was it like going through the rehabilitation and the therapy you had to go through?
It was long, dark, ugly. What you see now wasn't what it was 10 years ago.
Because I would look at you and I wouldn't think that any of this had happened. I mean, you're a beautiful woman. I'm sure that there are probably internal scars that you may have, but I don't see the external, at all. And you seem very composed, very poised. I know that people, when they come to your tea on Sunday, that they'll get an opportunity to probably convey the same things that I'm saying to you, about the type of elegance that I see sitting across from this table, that I'm seeing right now. But talk about in terms of, say, when with the therapy, what did you have to do? What were some of the things, not just physically, but also mentally, that you had to go through?
Part of my makeup is, I'm going to come right back to that. Part of my makeup is the way I've always been my whole life, is always stuffing my feelings and never really dealing with them. So I didn't really deal with my feelings until after, and that's just been from childhood. But my healing, well, let me just say this. So I was prescribed a lot of medication from my doctor, and then on top of that, I was drinking a lot. I wanted to die. I just wanted to go to sleep and never ever wake up again, because the pain was so unbearable, because I love my children so much, more than anybody on this earth. And I never imagined, being on this earth without them. And I just couldn't comprehend that they were gone. I'd rather it be me than them. So I was just really just existing. And a lot of days, I couldn't even tell you what was going through my mind. Some days I was just sitting there. The days would just go by, and I had my best friend Kelly. She was there. That she really encouraged me a lot. There was days, she was like, "You need to get up," because there was just days I didn't want to get up. My family members and her, they seen how I was when I was literally losing my mind and just spiraling out of control. And one of my family members, they said to me, I was just trying to understand what was going on, why you were acting that way. I said, how can I even tell you? Or I didn't even know why I was acting that way. I said, what would you do if you lose 4 children?
Right.
You don't know how you're going to be. I watched documentaries where someone lost one and they killed themselves. So, but one day I remember looking in the mirror, which I had shared with you, and I remember I just had these dark bags. I just looked like walking death, and this voice said to me, remember you said you didn't want to stay stuck. And I remember when I was in that basement on the floor lying, tied up on the ground, and he said, you were gonna suffer. And I would just, and it just brought all that back to my remembrance. And I said I wasn't gonna suffer, I was gonna fight. And then fast forward to that moment, I had to fight again, just to live, mentally and physically. I didn't think I had anything else left in me to fight. And honestly, I was scared to exist in this world because the trauma affected my memory, and I didn't have that spot-on memory like I had before. And I didn't know how I was going to exist, how I was going to, start my life over again. So, and the other thing is, I started realizing after that, because I was prescribed Xanax, that when I didn't take the Xanax, I would break out in this sweat. So I was, I thought to myself, okay. So one day I went outside. I had like a strappy t-shirt on, leggings, flip-flops, and this is like in the middle of winter. It happened again. And I'm like, well, maybe I can just go outside and maybe that'll stop. But there's nothing you can do when you're going through a withdrawal like that. So I said, the next time I run out of the Xanax, I'm not taking it anymore. And that's what I did. I just kicked it, and when I share that with people, I tell them, I'm not telling you to do what I did, because you can have an adverse effect to it. Luckily, I didn't. So I never touched it again, because they said Xanax can be addictive, and it was addictive for me. So never had any Xanax again after that. And that's when I really started taking my counseling and therapy really serious, because I was going, but I was just going to be going, But that's when I started taking it seriously and really getting my mind right, and really started dealing with what was going on the inside as well. Because when you go through trauma, It's not just the things that happen right now, it's the other things in the past as well that come up that you have to deal with too. So that's what started my healing journey.
And then it's also thinking about the things that you've got to face in the future.
Yes.
As well too.
Yes.
The book is called The Monster Who Killed His Family Twice, the true story of the Dearborn Heights murders. And we have the author here, Ms. Faith Brown. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're watching a very special edition of Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin.
Good morning. Today's a beautiful day, and today's not only a beautiful day because we're here in Inkster, but it's a beautiful day because I'm here with Pastor Gene Overman. I have the pleasure to serve on Operation Refuge as a board of director. This organization not only serves Inkster, but the neighborhood communities. I mean, the work we do here is beyond. It's led by Pastor Gene Overman. I've known Pastor Gene Overman for over 10 years. Everybody claims that that's her son, this is that. I mean, we go way back. She's mentored me. She's helped me throughout my career. I love you, Pastor. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on today?
Well, we're so excited, and thank you, Safe, for bringing a team in to really help us get the word out. Today we're doing our food that we do consistently every Wednesday and Thursday throughout the month, and just very excited to share with everyone listening that Operation Refuge has Mother's Pantry. It is a client choice food pantry that we are very thankful that you come in here and it's a place of dignity. You shop just like you're at Trader Joe's, hopefully, or one of the better grocery stores. So we're on the main strip because we want our families to leave those houses if you have a need and come over. And that's whether you're here, Dearborn Heights, Garden City, all of our surrounding communities in southeast Michigan, Wayne County, actually. We really serve great food, and we have lots of programs. But today we're here talking about Mother's Pantry, and you get the chance to see some of the interactivity at Mother's Pantry with our families. And sometimes there's a great need, and sometimes you find yourself the working, underemployed. So we have lots of Alice families where you're right at that threshold where you cannot receive benefits, but you still need that support. So we're very thankful that through many partnerships with Operation Refuge, we are able to provide good, nutritious food.
What I love about our pantry is the fact that you can come in, park your car, and shop like you're walking into a grocery store. Yes. Nobody can tell you can't take this or you can't take that. That's a sense of pride where you're not hurting anybody's feelings, and then I can walk in, get what I want, and leave. I mean, that's an amazing.
And you leave with your dignity, and oftentimes when we have food insecurity, you feel some sort of way to start with, right?
Absolutely.
So when you come in, we want to have the best choices.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we really do have excellent choices. We have halal, we have kosher, and we have partners that ensure that we keep what all of our families need.
Yeah.
So we're just very thankful.
It's your leadership and your vision. That's why, right?
And the board of directors, right?
Absolutely.
I can't get it done without you all. And as you see from the young man, you lead with fresh pineapple.
I love it.
Food,
I love it.
Right? And whether you're walking or you're able to drive up, our door is open for you.
And then the line, I can see the line.
Yeah,
I mean, when I
actually
pulled up, was all the it was all the way down to the STEM building. So it's amazing. It's a sunny day. Come to Inkster, folks. Thank you, Pastor. I love you.
My name is Darwin Griffin, and I am the host of Truth to Power, which is a thoughtful weekly TV show that airs on WHPR TV 15.2 every Friday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, bringing influential voices and leaders to the forefront to discuss issues that impact our cities, our states, and the world. This show aims to educate, inspire, and engage our audience with people in today's news.
You may be entitled to money left over from the auction sale of your foreclosed property in March of this year. To get any money left over from the sale of that property, you must file a claim using the Notice of Intent to File a Claim form by July 1st. You can download the claims form going to the Treasurer's website, clicking on the box that says Claims and Auctions, and then clicking on the yellow box that says Notice of Intent Claims Form, or use the QR code on your screen. It's your money. Start the process now, but you must file a claim by July 1st.
313watkins.com. Streaming on Roku.
And you are watching a very special edition of Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and we are joined by Faith Brown. And Faith, I know during the break you were just telling me that you're going to be given some recognition.
Yes.
Shortly. Talk about that. What's the recognition that you're going to be getting?
Yes, I am going to be getting an award at the First Step Gala this year in October. It's an honorary award.
You say the First Step?
Yep, at First Step Gala.
Okay. And you definitely have to come back on. Tell us more about how the event went and the kind of award. Do you know what type of award they're going to give you?
I do. It's her name is a tongue twister. It's the Sarah.
But not her name necessarily, if you don't remember her name. But what is the award going to be entitled?
For doing things in the community and getting recognized for doing things in the community, being a volunteer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. And you said it's going to be in October, correct?
October 17th.
You looking forward to it?
Yes, I am.
Good, good. Okay. Now, tell more about your event that's coming up on Sunday. Tell more about what. So if somebody comes to that event, what are they going to be seeing when they come there and meet with you? And again, where's the event going to be held at this Sunday?
So the Tea Party fundraiser is called Petals of Strength. So it's going to be at Detroit Inc. It's a space that they rent out, and tickets are $25. So all proceeds are going to IFAR Inc. for workshops, any person that needs help. And there will be food there. There'll be raffles. We're going to have games. Also, we'll be talking about domestic violence awareness. And also, we'll have some uplifting things and poems as well, because we don't want anybody to leave there heavy.
And see, the important part about what you were saying is that there may be people that are going through the same thing what Faith went through, and may not have that courage to go and come forth and tell what's going on. Mainly because of the fact that when you have a situation like that, you have two sides to that situation. And you have the person who's encountering the person who's saying whatever the case may be to that person. And that's the key thing, is that it's where and how and why somebody should believe you when you tell, a story of the magnitude of your story. And it's really important that people don't shy away from telling really what is going on, and in some cases telling the entire story about what's going on, because there's a lot that it's like where you have a case where if somebody leaves something out and somebody comes back later and says, why didn't you tell me that somebody was doing something or somebody was saying something? And then I know there's other signs that people see. And had the police ever been called out to your house before, before the situation happened? I mean, had they had like on file or something, where I know sometimes, like Roy or James Tate could tell you, like when they get calls and they have them on file where there's been a domestic situation, with someone. But sometimes you have women that don't want to go and call the police on a person who may be, harming them, or, either verbally or even, physically, and because they don't want to get him in trouble, and they don't tell something, or they try and reconcile, quick. And I know you were saying to me the other day when we were talking that you had left this Mr. Green, and that he had to kind of talk to you to try and get you to come back into the household again. And I know that's probably the same thing what a lot of women may be going through with some of their partners, that they may have taken that step to leave. And what was like the step that made you really say, hey, enough's enough, and you took your children and you left?
I just had enough with how he was treating my children. Like I was telling you before when we talked, taking the doorknob handles off my oldest daughter's door and picking with her, and then my baby girl, picking with her. One day we were in the kitchen, it was just all the girls, and what had happened was I was in the bedroom, and my youngest Kaylee came to me, and she said she had wanted peanut butter sandwich, really just butter sandwich, but she called it peanut butter. So I said, well, give me a second, I'll be in there to make you a sandwich. So I come in the kitchen, and Greg says, well, who smushed the bread? I said, probably Kaylee, because she barely could reach the counter. It wasn't like all the bread was smashed. You can still use the bread. So, Kaylee was over this way, and Coy was here. I think my daughter Kira was here. He was here, and I was this way by the refrigerator. And I don't even know how I knew, but he just moved, and I tried to move at the same time, and he just took his hand and like back slapped her so hard on her thigh. And I told him, if you ever, that was a nice way of me putting it, if you ever do that to her again, I told him I would F him up. I said, she's a baby. So what if she smushed the bread,
This was yours and his child, right?
Right.
Okay.
And he never, ever did anything like that to Coy or raised his voice, or he was always being mean to her. So, I was just like, I can't, I'm like, you can't be treating my kids like this. So that was one of the things, that I was just like, I have to be out of here, because I can't continue to live like this and put my kids through this.
So there's advice that you would probably be ready to give to women that might be going through some of the same things like what you went through. What advice, what type of counseling? Because that's one of the things I was going to ask you too, was that once you got out the hospital and you were still going through your therapy, sessions, what type of work did you find yourself doing after you got out the hospital and you were recovering from, your injuries?
Well, at that time I couldn't work, so I didn't work for years, for a long time. I didn't work for probably about 2.5, 3 years.
Okay.
So
what type of work did you do before?
Before I was working at a mortgage company, and I was also working midnights. I stayed contingent with them, and I worked with closed head brain injury patients.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so when I started back working, I worked for a guy that had a painting company, so that's what I did, painting and mudding.
Oh, you do that?
Yep, I did that. Yeah, I did a little bit
of
that.
I wouldn't look at you and think that. I mean, I'm seeing somebody like me that they might probably say, "Oh yeah, well, you probably did painting."
But I grew up with my dad. I did a little bit of that with my dad as well. My dad, I love tools and trying to build things. I got that from my father. So.
Well, I don't want somebody to be getting on me and saying that. Well, I don't look at you and see you being that person, especially getting them up on a ladder or a scaffold and sitting up here putting the mud up, on the walls. I mean, I know what that means, but seeing you doing something, to that fact, I can see you maybe like in the, in the mortgage company, doing that kind of work or working with the patients. You're saying with the closed head injury, but. So now the thing is that so you went back, you were doing some work, with your friend that had the painting and the mudding, company, and now what do you do now for pretty much like what's your occupation that you do now?
So what I do now, I do my nonprofit.
Okay.
I would like to do that full time. So I'm doing Uber, I do Papa, and that's pretty much it. So
the main thing is, if somebody wants to help you to get an actual brick and mortar building.
Let me just, and I just became a doula.
Oh, so now what and I hear that term a lot. That's a common term that I hear a lot of women, mention.
So a doula. So what I didn't know for many years, because I used to say, oh, I want to be a midwife, because I was there with my sister when she had my nephew when I was 18. So I had been interested for many years. So. A doula doesn't actually deliver. We can be there like as your partner to help you, like coach you through the birthing process. We can go to your doctor's appointments. We can help you in the delivery room, like massaging, that type of thing, and help you with your birthing plan, those type of things.
What made you get into that? I mean, I'm just curious.
I had been thinking about it.
Did that with your sister?
Yeah, I had been thinking about it. Then my niece got into it. She was like, "Auntie, you can do it," and I was like, I had been worried about my memory. Am I going to be able to? I know I can do it, but I was worried about, am I going to be able to retain the information? So I still was just like, So then a friend of mine, I had told her about it a while ago, and then it came up again. She was like, "Oh, sis, we're gonna do this," and I'm like, "Okay," but when she told me, you know, sometimes when somebody says something to you, you hear it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, "Girl, you gonna do this," you know. That's how I took it. But she didn't say it like that. But I needed that fire. I needed that push, you know. And once I started reading the book, and I'm like, you know, it was open book. I didn't know it was gonna be open book, but you still got to read it to know where to maneuver throughout the book to get the information. So once I started doing it, I'm like, oh, and I'm remembering, you know. So it wasn't as bad as I thought. So I'm like, oh, I can do this, you know.
Well, you know, Tim, if you can, you know, put the camera in on her book, because I wanted you to tell people the monster who killed his family twice, the true story of the Dearborn Heights murders. So how can somebody that may see the show today, how can they acquire a copy of your book?
What I didn't mention earlier is also on my website and Amazon. So my website is formychildrenmyfaith.com. You can, the link is on there, and you can donate on there, and you can get the book on Amazon as well.
Okay. And how long did it take you when you wrote the book?
You know, honestly, I don't know. They were very patient with me when I was writing my book, because it was a lot of things. Some things I forgot, and then things came back to my memory. Mm-hmm. So it took a while. I don't really know how long it took.
So the book, is it kind of like allowing you to kind of more so help you to heal in terms of, say, with what happened to you,
Yes.
you know, 10 years ago?
Yes. Yeah, it does. And I didn't put like everything in it, because the book would be so thick, you know. But when it was done and they emailed me a copy, I remember thinking, I was at the nail salon, and I was going to read it there, but I was like, no, let me wait till I got home. And when I got home, it was like, oof, like it happened all over again. I had to turn on all the lights in my house. It was like I was scared all over again. But after that, you know, then I was okay.
So since it happened, so your outlook on people, you know, men especially, you know, how's that kind of, you know, because you, I'm sure had the people that you were meeting, not just the men, but the people that you were meeting, were you kind of, you know, a little bit and kind of thinking, well, God, this happened, and thinking in terms of, say, about trusting, you know, person, you know, in the future? Has that ever kind of occurred with you?
Yes. You know, and I thought about that last night, because I really didn't actually answer your question. I just told you situations. And yes, it was actually hard to trust people, family members, because when you go through something so traumatic, and when you feel like certain people have abandoned you because they don't understand what you're going through, because you can't understand what you're going through, so it is hard to trust. And because it's like how I felt like I was dropped off in a desert, in a foreign land, and I had to learn the language again. That's how I felt, and I didn't know who I could trust. So it was like walking on eggshells, and you know, at some point you're gonna have to trust somebody. Mm-hmm. And eventually that's what I was starting to do. But you know, I would get anxiety. Sometimes I would have to, you know, I would go places, and then I would tell people like, oh, I'm sick, or I can't, you know. Then
just so you wouldn't have to stay. And
yeah, because I would start getting like, oh, you know, and
get an anxiety attack or something.
Yeah,
okay.
And even friends that I already knew. But then I started saying like, oh, I started telling them like, I just can't, and they were like, I understand, you know. But even with men too, I would find myself overthinking, and I was never an overthinker before. And then I have to tell myself, you know, they are not the ones who did this to me. If something came up, or if like one time I was cooking something, I was in a relationship with this guy, and I left the food on on low because I went to a therapy appointment. Luckily, it didn't burn. And I was like, oh, you know, and I was like, I had to tell myself, like, he is not Greg, you know, and he didn't even care, you know. So just, you know, at times things would come up, you know, and I just had to breathe and just let it go because, you know, that individual is not the one that did these things to me, and I don't want to take my past issues into a
new relationship.
Right.
So that sometimes, I mean, because it's like I could see where you might have been a little concerned about not doing something that could have triggered something from this new person that may have triggered something from the previous person and made you really kind of a little reticent about, you know, that. So like you were saying about the cooking. But what advice would you give to a person that, you know, and it's not, you want people to go through therapy, through counseling, you want to make certain that they let people know, but who are some of the other people outside of your family that you would go to? And are there counseling resources? I know you were saying on your website they can go to your website and they can find out more information and more resources they can go to.
There is First Step. I love First Step because they helped me. I went through counseling. I went through their transitional home. There is Healing Choices, a very good friend of mine, Cindy Kuspansky. Turning Point, to name a few. And there's Dee's House of Angels, just to name a few off the top of my head. There's CAM. You can Google them.
Okay. Tim, did I understand we have a call on the line? Okay. But so you were saying those were some of the resources that they could contact. So if a person is going through something like that, they can reach out and call you directly, or there's a
they can call me directly, and I can help them find resources.
And then so when you were talking about the counseling services of the people, like, were you like your church, or you know, did you do like a kind of a therapy group, you know, with other women that may be going through some of the same things that you went through, or going through the same things that you went through?
I went through counseling through First Step, and then I had a psychiatrist.
So your psychiatrist, what kind of help did he or she provide, you know, for you? What were they telling you in terms of, say, how to help you?
She was trauma-informed psychiatrist, and, you know, she would tell me to, you know, take it one day at a time. And I had to go through a few of them, because some were just listening, and that's it, and not really giving me any information of things to do. So breathing techniques, mindfulness, those type of things really helped a lot, and really just being able to talk without being judged.
I got you.
That helped a lot.
Okay. Tim, I guess we got a caller back. Okay, caller, you're on the line. We're here with Faith Brown. This is Darwin Griffin.
Hello. I'm enjoying your show. I wanted to ask the young lady, and I'm going to hang up after this question, where did you meet your husband at, dear?
We couldn't really hear in terms of, say, your question. So, Tim, can you help with the audio so that we can... Can you speak up a little bit louder, please?
Yes, I wanted to ask the young lady, where did she meet her husband? And I'm going to hang up and listen. Thank you.
Okay, I think I heard her question. She had asked about where did you meet your husband at?
I actually met my ex-husband in church. That's where we met at.
And so you had met him in church, and then when did you... So you dated for a period of time. You had 2 children with him, but you had your previous children that you brought into the marriage, you know, with him. But when did you start seeing, after you started dating him, when did you start seeing the red? Did you see any red flags before you got married to him, Or did it wait until after you got married that you started seeing things?
See, when we dated, I didn't really see anything when we dated. I just thought he was weird. But
when you say weird, what do you mean?
Like
when you say weird?
just quiet.
So quiet is weird. I'm picking at you a little bit, but it's like
quiet, not really having friends.
Okay.
To himself, like you could be quiet and not weird, but I don't really know how to explain it. Like,
it just didn't seem like he was really the outgoing type person.
Right, exactly. So, and then we actually had broke up for a little bit, and then while we were broke up, that's when I got pregnant with my daughter, and then we got married. But it was when we got married that we were having problems. We weren't even married 30 days. We were having problems in our marriage already. So, but I stayed because I felt stuck.
What do you mean when you say stuck?
So, after we were married, my sister saw him out with another woman. So, because I resigned from my job because he wanted me to be a stay-home mom. So, I just felt like, wow, like, what am I going to do now? I'm like, now I have 3 children. So,
but your sister, you say your sister saw him out with another woman.
Yeah, they were out at the store. So, and this was the person that he was out with, to be clear, was someone he was seeing when we were broken up.
Okay.
So, so the thing is, if we're married, you shouldn't even be out with
somebody else. Right.
Whether it's going to the store or meeting up or whatever the case may be, because if that was me, you would be livid, So.
So did you approach him about that?
Oh yeah, I did. So when we talked about it, he was really nonchalant about it, and that was the thing that really burned me up, because the thing is, I'm not the one doing anything, and you're not saying anything, and so that really was the first red flag, just being nonchalant, like and just really just going on about your day,
So he didn't take ownership in the fact that he was doing something that you didn't approve of?
No. All he said to me was like, oh, I was helping her find insurance. It's a Saturday. Where are you going to find insurance on a Saturday? And her son wanted to see me. And what does that mean? If that was the case, then, we should never have got married, So, eventually it's just like time goes on, so I'm like, okay. Then he says, like, he does want the marriage to work. So I'm just like, okay, because I'm like, well, I did it now, so what am I going to do? So I'm still like in limbo, because I just, feel like, things still aren't right. But, I started looking for a job. I think by that time, Koi is like getting close to like 1. She might have been 1 already. And I think she was 1 already. And then that's when I find out, I was pregnant again. So then I'm like, oh, wow, like I'm really stuck now. Like, what am I going to do with, a second child? So, so I was like, well, maybe I should just try to make it work, So that's what I was trying to do.
Well, Tim, again, can you show the book again? Yeah. The Monster Who Killed His Family Twice, and the Dearborn Heights Murders. Mm-hmm. But this is the author that we have here in the studio with us today, Miss Faith Brown. We definitely appreciate you getting a chance to come on and talking about your story. And I do want to ask you, so now let's fast forward. I know we talked during the break a little bit about the healing process, where, you think about what happened then, you think about what happened during, and then you also think about what's happening now. Mm-hmm. So how is life for Faith Brown today?
Today, I can actually say that I am in a good headspace. I'm happy. It took me a long time to be here. It took me a long time to even say it out loud, because I would feel guilty. Mm-hmm. And I no longer feel guilty. I am walking in my purpose, and I'm doing this for my children. So that makes me feel very grateful and happy that I'm doing this.
And how's the family support? I mean, I'm sure that now that now that you've healed or you're healing, and now you've gone through, what you've gone through, life is good. So you're doing things that you're really wanting to do, and when you think back to what happened, you can kind of walk through it, and then also you can express that to other people so that they can help with healing their wounds that they may be going through. But so what's in the future then for you in terms, say just real quick, we got to wrap up.
Okay.
But you want to have a center, you want to have a building that can go and help other women and other men, for that fact, that are going through domestic situations like that. But give the location for your event on Sunday.
On Sunday, the location is at Detroit Inc. I'm sorry, I don't know the address by heart, but it is on 6 Mile right before Greenfield. It is from 2 to 6 p.m. Tickets are $25. Come on out and enjoy yourself. It is for a great cause. I'm looking to build a team and come out, network, and let's not communicate, but network and
let's give people an opportunity to pool their resources together for a great cause.
Yes, and also there's going to be resources there as well.
Great. Well, looks like we got to wrap up. Yeah. We have definitely, had an opportunity to get your story across. If there's any additional information for things that you may be doing in the future that we can assist you with here at WHPR TV, Watkins Broadcasting, please don't hesitate, to let us know. So,
thank you.
Again, the book is called. Again, Tim, can you show that real quick? The book, real quick, please. The book is called "The Monster Who Killed His Family Twice," and we have the author here, and that is Miss Faith Brown. And again, we thank you for coming on Truth to Power today. Thank you. Again, our hearts and our prayers are with you during the healing process that you may be still going through.
Can I say something real quick?
You sure can.
I just want to say to anyone going through domestic violence and any survivors out there, just know that you're not alone. Never feel embarrassed. Reach out. Even if you're not ready, there are resources out there. That's something that I didn't know at the time. And you can always reach out to me, my Facebook page. You can call me directly. And just know that you're not walking this road alone.
Thank you again. And I do want to thank the caller for calling in. And caller, I hope that you are able to go and get an opportunity to go and support Ms. Brown in all of her endeavors. Again, you've been watching a very special edition, Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin. So again, the summer has arrived. There's going to be some warm weather, hopefully this weekend. And whatever you do, stay safe and be at peace with everybody you come in contact with.